Hi, this is a fair use in the classroom presentation. Presentation is brought to you by Andrew Cardinale. This presentation is to help educators make decisions that do not infringe on the copyrights of intellectual properties of artists, writers, sculptors, painters, anybody that wants to copyright their work with the U.S. government. If you think you understand the utilizing of copyrighted material in the classroom, then don't be surprised if a fellow teacher, administrator, or even a friend comes to tell you that they think you might be breaking the law. This presentation is an attempt to help educators understand and enable them to make decisions that will not infringe on the copyright protection presented to the owners of intellectual property. Copyright laws are based from the U.S. Constitution. In the Constitution it states that Congress shall have the power to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing, for limited times, to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. It is important to note that the copyright laws were created to support the progress of science, the state of knowing. Thus, they were created to promote education. The copyright is a legal device that provides for the creator of a work of art or literature, or a work that conveys information of ideas, the right to control how their intellectual property is used. The intent of the copyright is to advance the progress of knowledge. First, we'll talk about what can be copyrighted. There are 3 requirements for an item to be able to be copyrighted. The first is called fixation. It's when an item is written, drawn, painted, sculpted, posted online, stored on a computer, recorded in audio or video, or any other form of fixed medium. The second is originality. The work must be original, or a combination of works that combined, adapted, or transformed in new ways that make them original in new ways. Third, the item must be creative. It must be a new concept beyond original. What cannot be copyrighted? You can't copyright facts. You can't copyright words, names, slogans, ideas, short phrases, blank forms, public ordinances, judicial opinions, and administrative rulings. And what does copyright protect? It protects the right to prepare new works based upon a protected work. It protects the right to make copies of a protected work. It protects the right to sell or otherwise distribute protected work. And it protects the right to perform the protected work in public. The determination of fair use of copyrighted material has been determined almost exclusively by the federal court system and federal judges. There are no set guidelines that are universally accepted, but there are 4 factors that must be weighed in each determination. First is the purpose and the character of the work. Is the new work merely a copy of the original, and is not likely to be considered fair use of that copyrighted work? Does the new work offer something above and beyond the original? Is the work altered significantly and used for another purpose? And does it appeal to a different audience? They examine whether the work is used for non-profit or educational purposes. And the next item is the nature of the work that is copyrighted. Is the copyrighted work published or unpublished? Is the copyrighted work out of print? Is the copyrighted work factual or artistic? Next is the amount and substantiality of the portion used. The more you use of a copyrighted work, the less likely your use is going to be considered fair use. Does the amount you've used of the copyrighted work exceed reasonable expectation? Is the portion you've used likely to affect the owner's economic gain? Next is the potential effect of the use of the copyrighted work on the market. How much does the new work differ from the original? Does the new work appeal to the same audience? Does the new work contain anything original? Now we'll talk about fair use in the classroom. Is the work an instance or inspiration from a single teacher? It must be to be considered fair use. Does it do no harm to the copyright holder? Does the use affect the future income of the copyright holder? Does the copyrighted work, was the copyrighted work intended to be sold in schools? You can use a chapter from a book, but never the whole book. You can use an article from a periodical or a newspaper. You can use a short story and some special works no more than 10% or 2 pages, whichever is less. Fair use counts as an essay, but only one work or essay from an individual author. A poem of 250 words or less that exists on 2 pages or less, or 250 words from a longer poem. A chart, graph, diagram, drawing, cartoon, or picture from a book, periodical, or newspaper. You can use prose or copies of an article, story, or essay that are 2,500 words or less, or excerpts of up to 1,000 words, or 10% of the total work, whichever is less. You can use illustrations, copies of a chart, graph, diagram, cartoon, or picture contained in a book or periodical. Next is what should be avoided. Copying and using the same work from semester to semester. Making multiple copies of different works that could substitute for the purchase of books, publishers' reprints, or periodicals. Copying and using the same material for several different classes at several different schools or institutions, copying more than 9 separate times in a single semester. What permission is required if you want to use more than what is considered fair use? When you intend to use the copyrighted material for commercial purposes. When you want to use the materials repeatedly, over and over. And when you want to use a work in its entirety. That is the end of this presentation. Thank you.